Good afternoon on what is a cool, grey and cloudy day. It is Friday the 7th of June and I'm in the reading with a nice hot cup of tea and a box to unbox. And what I've got in here is a copy of this, Eat the Reich. So, the year is 1943, you're a unit of crack vampire commandos coffin dropped into occupied Paris. And if that line doesn't sell this scenario alone, I don't know what you're watching this channel for, because that's a great cracking opening line for any scenario. You're already hooked. Let alone the title, Eat the Reich. You have one mission: drink all of Hitler's blood. Are you sold yet? Fantastic. That's just going, yeah, what a great idea. So, Eat the Reich is a fast-paced, short-burn, ultraviolet tabletop role-playing game written by Grant Howitt, Spy of the City Must Fall, Heart the City Beneath, Honey Heist, Crash Banders, illustrated by Will Kirby, Critical Role, Dark Horse Comics, Space Station Zero. It has everything you need to get started right away, including 6 beautifully pre-generated player characters ready to smash up some fascists, an inaccurate map of Paris, several battalions of Nazi adversaries, complete with snipers, paratroopers, armoured infantry, tanks, and reanimated mummies. 4 dangerous, upgunned, uber-mentioned, full of magically enhanced blood, easy-to-learn rules, which push cinematic action, creativity, and group storytelling to the forefront of play. Extensive safety tools and guidance for playing a game featuring Nazis, even if you're exsanguinating every single one you meet. I'm already sold on this. I was sold at the moment, you Eat the Reich, and it said you are a unit of crack vampire commandos coffin dropped into occupied Paris. So let's get this open and have a look inside. I absolutely adore the colours of it. It's really vibrant, just on the outside. So let's get the knife into the plastic. And you've got this colour on the edge of the page, chrome pink, which is utterly, how can I put it? It just doesn't say, 1940s Paris, but it does say all action, punk World War II action. I don't know what else it does for it, but I just want to show you on this back. This is back is fantastic. It's got a slightly embossed, rough quality to it, where the just elements of it just stand out. Essentially the blood stains just stand out on the hand. It feels fantastic, and so on. And then you've got the same upon with this, and then a little box with one of the characters just staring through, and we've got and you don't see that at the start, because what you actually see is that, which is the contents page, and it's selling it. You've got the credits page is there, and just the production values on this are utterly amazing. And there we see it. That's the cover in full. You see the vampire in full action. And then we're into welcome. What is this? This isn't. Who is this for? What's a role-playing game? And what is this role-playing game? How is it different? And what's the Havoc engine, and how does it work? And what's the underlying ethical stance of this game? Let's just have a look at that, because that's going to be really interesting. So, the underlying ethical stance of this game. The game is not in and of itself an act of resistance. It's an act of creativity which reflects our frustration with the real world's ongoing Nazi problem. For some players, telling a story of fictional and over-the-top combat against some of history's worst people feels fun and cathartic. For others, reenacting a fight against literal World War II Nazis feels depressing or distasteful, or pretending to be a monster feels raw and upsetting. Eat the Reich isn't for everyone. There's no shame in not wanting to take part. It just says, at the end, we also consider anti-fascist violence meaningfully different from, say, violence against random orcs in a fantasy game. Nazis have indicated they're evil, harmful and oppressive to you by their choice. So there's the tone, there's the essentially the ethical stance of this game. You might be evil, basically blood-sucking monsters, but they're worse. Anyway, you've got advice on playing safe and advice on playing anti-heroes, and how to deal with innocent bystanders and actual discrimination. So you've got safety tools, and there are plenty of advice before we get into playing with the history. And here we are setting up your game, choosing the character, and we've got they're going across by flying boat, which seems a little odd, but you know, I think that's the short Sunderland, I think. But the illustrations, that's fantastic though. Really vibrant, exciting. Got a quick guide as to who's who and who they are, but basically this is the player characters, I'm presuming. You know, dealing with their identities and their faith in this scenario. And here we go with them placed in full colour. And more, so essentially in each one, essentially you've got stats and abilities, stats and equipment, then the abilities, and so on, of each of the different vampires. And then got stats and details for Nazis, fangs, vampires, and the drop coffins. I love the concept of a drop coffin. You know, and then we get what does a drop coffin actually look like? So we move on to the mechanics, how to get things done. Basically building your dice pools. The GM pulls the threat pool, and you are comparing the results. And it says go out with a bang. The last use of any equipment that starts with more than one. So what it says, more than one use adds additional bonus dice to the pool. This encourages players to use their items up and loot new ones, which is more interesting than relying on the same kit for the whole story. And the other thing is, look at the top there. It just says secret, prime ministers, you know, basically sort of like saying, you know, this is for the prime minister's eyes only. So this is actually a sanctioned mission. There's a lot of nice little details in there. We've got an example of play. And then how to handle injuries, death, objectives and threats, and so on. Reinforcements. And you've got an example of play of that coming into play, scenes and objectives. So secondary objectives as well as the primary ones. And then the flashback as a storytelling tool, including its context, and the question it sort of sets out to address. And then we have the mission structure. So essentially we've got a briefing, coffin fall, onwards, facing the Übermenschen, and the climax of essentially of the mission, how to run the game in terms of tone, and then got a guide there to running at conventions, and it says basically tone, pacing, and so on. Provide opportunities for chaos, and when not to use the to rules, let things flow, and then basically it's got an advice here, basically being a Nazi for pretend, essentially how to portray the Nazis in the scenario, also how to handle your accents, because you know you don't want to cause anybody an offence. Of course, you don't care about the Nazis, and you shouldn't. here's that thoroughly inaccurate map of Paris they promised on the back cover. And you've got descriptions of the various locations. And they continue. And then you've got particular locations, like the German Technology Pavilion, the metro station, expensive looking garage, Le Cochon Noir, French resistant hideout, Museum of European Warfare. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And over the top, Jardin de Fay, illuminations and amusements, where they might encounter an actual Übermensch. You've got an exhibition of degenerate art, and so on. And then we're onto the common enemies. And so on. Including, you basically, in Sector 1, you've got places like Nazi pleasure gardens, the Eiffel Tower, the Führer Zeppelin, and Hitler's broadcast suite. And then the final scene, with notes on what Hitler's blood tastes like. I won't spoil it. And then we've got a list of inspirations, including film and television, games, digital and analog. And they're actually, that's just not listed, that's discussed as well. That's a nice addition. I do like it when they do that. Suggested further adventures. And then you've got hacking to together your own vampires. Basically whether it's doing reskinning, hacking, or doing it from scratch. And you've got some sample. Basically, you've got here are the authors and artists there done up as ID cards for their vampires, and then of course you've got the back cover. I absolutely want to run this. I actually want to play this. I don't care. This looks absolutely fantastic, over the top, fun, action. You get out there and you give it some to the Nazis, and who wouldn't want to buy into that? As a vampire in Paris in 1943. Brilliant. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that's Eat the Reich from. It is from. Let me see. Rowan Rook and Deckard, who also do things like Spire and Heart, which are both really fantastic games. Anyway, this is Eat the Reich. Essentially, it's a one-shot scenario which you can basically do a bit more with if you want to, but it's going to be a blast to play. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, appreciate you taking the time to post those. And in the meantime, if you want to be able to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, or in this case, it's basically a role-playing stroke scenario, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.